Did you know, before the invention of trains, we used to run wagons on your mom? Oh, the memories. Let's just keep on going right here, give her a little highlight.
Welcome to the motherfucking relay. We're covering today's top boxing news.
Every girl in boxing who boxes right now, and I can run down a list of names of them from the best to me being Katie Taylor at the top of the list, to Amanda, to Alicia, to O'Shea, to all these girls I can name. All of them have said that I was the best fighter in the world. Now all of a sudden, since we're not cool, we don't like her, or she making too much money, we're jealous. Now, she can't do this, she can't do that. But I do stuff that they cannot do. And also, up in fights, I'm dominant.
See that Claressa Shields, at the press conference for the upcoming Kay Scotch fight, took it upon herself to bring up a lot of girls that don't even campaign at her weight, who she views as the competition. Katie, Amanda, even O'Shea Jones. And Alicia Baumgartner, of course. Which was pretty cringe when you think about it, as none of them have to take time out to talk about Claressa to sell their upcoming fights. No, you won't see Katie at the presser for her upcoming fight, or Amanda at the presser for hers, randomly bringing up Claressa Shields to take shots at her, tearing her down to build themselves up. They could. Amanda Serrano is a little bit more than just a multi-weight champion. She's a world record holder en route to another world record, the most knockouts of any woman boxer in the sport. The highest paid also, Katie. Katie's the reason that Claressa even got to fight for 2 gold medals, though you'd never know it because she never takes the time out to bring it up. We all know her quality of competition is head and shoulders above Claressa's, that she campaigns in deeper divisions and has fought better fighters comparatively than Claressa Shields has fought, but Katie's got too much class. She would never do that at the press conference for one of her fights, what Claressa Shields did at the press conference for hers, because subconsciously, people now expect this sort of classless behavior from Claressa Shields. That's what it is. Think about it. In men's boxing, do you see the heavyweights comparing themselves to the fighters at the lighter weights and taking shots at them and talking about them? Do you see Usyk do that? No. Saying that he does things that, no, I can't do. Or Terence Crawford. You never see Usyk say shit like that. In fact, you see the opposite. You see Usyk praise Terence Crawford. He once called him #1 pound for pound. And after Usyk's victory over Tyson Fury, Crawford said the same thing about him. Inoue said the same thing about them. He said that about Terence Crawford. He viewed him as the #1 pound for pound fighter in the sport. So it's not because they're hyper-competitive. These guys are hyper-competitive, but they still show grace to their contemporaries. They still show class. And you generally don't see bigger fighters taking shots at what are the smaller fighters, like what you see from Claressa, because Claressa has no grace, has no class. And the boxing world is used to it. So many in the boxing world don't even call it out, but the people outside of the boxing world, the ones that have become hyper-aware of Claressa Shields, not in a good way. You will have noticed an influx of channels covering Claressa Shields, her career, her relationship with Papoose, channels that don't necessarily cover boxing or watch it as much as I or you, but they do have an eye on Claressa and what is her Wynn Records deal. I see these varying content creators on Instagram, here, on YouTube, all of which notice the same thing about Claressa. She's trying to mog everybody, even smaller girls that compete at lighter weights, when it doesn't make sense. One content creator whose content I recently took in did a deep dive on Claressa Shields and Wynn Records. Who are Wynn Records? These are the people that are supposed to be kicking out $8 million over the course of 2 years and 4 fights to Claressa Shields, but a little over a year ago, they didn't even exist. The company is barely a year old. In visiting their website to see what other big acts do they have under contract, besides Claressa and Papoose, who brokered the deal. He's their creative director. It's almost like you guys cooked up a label to have one for her to sign to, because the company is barely a year old. And what's been uncovered as a result of all these deep dives into Wynn Records and the nature of Claressa's deal with them, it's not like she gets $2 million flat moving forward. It's $2 million with strings attached. It's $2 million contingent upon certain earmarks that she has to reach, not just as a boxer, but as a recording artist. They're expecting her to sell records? That's the story. I already had my reservations about the true nature of this supposed $8 million deal. I knew not to trust it. I knew it was too good to be true. Who's gonna kick out $2 million to her? If the established game in town are unwilling to do that, how the fuck could Wynn Records afford it? I knew not to trust them when they staged that faux sit-down meeting to bring out a giant novelty-sized check made out to Layla Ali.
Remember that?
The supposed $15 million they were offering Layla Ali to come out of retirement and fight Claressa.
Remember that?
You would have had to be an idiot to believe that shit. Is that how deals are normally done in the sport of boxing, with giant novelty-sized Publishers Clearinghouse checks?
That was for the optics.
The dollar amount they were supposedly ready to kick out for Layla Ali, when I don't think Wynn Records as a company is worth $15 million, so how could they have come up with that money for Layla? It was a bluff. It was all for the optics.
From a company that wasn't even a year old yet.
They didn't have $15 million for Layla Ali, like they don't really have $8 million for Claressa.
So now she's fighting Kay Scott.
She's gonna make her way down to 160, win 2 alphabet titles there to bring to the Lauren Price fight that I do expect her to have. I don't know about the Mayer fight.
I still don't think that's gonna happen.
Though, even if it does, the obvious question would be, can you give Claressa Shields credit for beating 2 women that are that much smaller than she is at a weight where they've never fought?
Because it's not like Taylor versus Serrano. When Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano fought at 135, Amanda Serrano was no stranger to 135. She'd won a title there before, whereas neither Michaela or Lauren Price have ever held the title at 160. You're already noticeably bigger than these girls. Do you really deserve any credit for bringing them up to a weight where they have never fought?
It's a question for the people watching this video. If Claressa Shields beats Lauren Price, do you give her credit?
Men's middleweight news. How bad does he want it? Tim Tszyu plans to test the heart of Errol Spence Jr. Tim Tszyu is back in action in his home country of Australia on July 6th. As he takes on Errol Spence, who will be ending a 3-year layoff following a stoppage loss to Terence Crawford in 2023. Speaking to Ring Magazine, Tszyu explains why he plans on putting Spence under pressure to make him question himself and how much more he wants to give to the sport.
Stylistically, it's a great fight. What he's got to prove as well, Tszyu said. This is the best division coming up, so yeah, there's just a lot on the line for the both of us. I'm going to give him that regret feeling. You should have taken a warm-up fight. I feel like Errol's a monotone type of guy. What he's good at is that constant pressure, constant punching, and it doesn't have to be flashy and quick and stuff like that. He just knows when to throw.
Tim says that Errol should have took the tune-up fight, not realizing in Errol's mind Tim is the tune-up fight.
He just knows when to throw a punch, and he keeps on going until it's a sink-or-swim type situation. So that's what he's good at. The real question, Tim says, will be the desire of Spence, and whether or not that's still intact after he's already accomplished a lot, made a lot of money, and has been enjoying the good life outside of boxing for the last 3 years.
Why is Errol even back? He recently stated that this upcoming fight could be the very last time that he fights, that he's taking this comeback on a fight-by-fight basis. What that communicates is he's not exactly committed to staying in the sport, and if he's not, why come back at all?
How bad does he want it when you've been there, done that in the sport, Tszyu said of Spence? It's sort of like, do I need to do this? Do I need to keep on going? That's what I want to test when he starts talking to himself. If you take the heart away from him, then he's gone. It's the last hoorah for Errol Spence. Get in and watch his last fight.
If he loses to Tim Tszyu in Australia, it very well could be. That would herald the end.
That's the intrigue of the fight for anybody who's interested. Is Timmy going to end up retiring Errol Spence Jr.? Did he wait too long to come back? Is his heart not in it anymore? And can Tim be the one to exploit that? Sounds like he wants to jump on him right away. Errol Spence Jr. having been out for the last 3 years, if Tim makes it rough and rugged from the start, he could make it to where Errol doesn't really want to be there.
He's got a significant amount of ring rust to shake off. I think that goes without saying, but I'm saying it.
When he says that this could be the last time we see him in a boxing ring, you don't get the impression that he's all that committed to coming back and staying back.
If he wins, Does he go on a world title run after that at 154 or 160?
As he would easily become one of the biggest names anywhere at or around those weights, especially at 160, that's been dead as a doorknob for years now. If Errol Spence Jr. wins, he would immediately become the target for Sebastian Fundora, Xander Zayas upon his ring return, Jaron Ennis also.
Virgil Ortiz.
You will remember that Virgil Ortiz said the Errol Spence Jr. fight is his dream fight many times, and how many times did you hear Oscar De La Hoya say that they want to make that thing? All while Errol Spence Jr. was missing in action, to where if he wins at the end of this month, he will have a lot of options moving forward.
He's been sparring seasoned veteran Brian Mendoza in preparation for the Tim Tszyu fight, and according to Brian, Errol's locked in.
Recent images that have come out from the camp, Errol looks in good shape and looks to be in good spirits. He's normally a very relaxed, monotone guy, to where if he actually were excited to be back, you'd never know it, because his demeanor doesn't change much.
Doesn't normally show much emotion.
Ahead of what promises to be an all-action shootout, because Errol Spence Jr. has always been an action fighter, and so is Tim Tszyu. That's what they're good at. They've got the same sweet spot, mid-range to inside.
Both have questionable durability at this point. Questionable punch resistance, so I think this fight is going to end in a knockout.
Just so happens to be happening the same day as Anthony Joshua's comeback fight against Prenga, and the both of those fights are pay-per-views. I think that if the American boxing fan had to choose between which one of those two fights is going to get their money, they would go with the Spence fight. Spence versus Tszyu.
I think.
It's a genuinely intriguing fight, albeit for the wrong reasons. It's not because Errol Spence Jr. or Tim Tszyu are on the up and up. It's actually because they've been through the ringer a few times, and we don't really know what either one of them has left.
Who do you trust, Errol or Timmy?
That same weight, former unified champion Janibek Alimkhanalai, who still has the brown belt, he still has the WBO title, took to his social media and stated, Janibek versus Canelo. This fight is my goal. I'm ready to move up to super middleweight. I'm sure my fans want to see this fight too.
Still serving out that suspension for the meldonium that they found in his system.
If you're wondering, why did the WBO allow him to keep his title even though they found meldonium in his system, it's because he had a valid reason, a valid excuse. It was as a result of a prescription medicine he was given after an emergency room visit.
The IBF chose to strip him anyway, strip him of the title, whereas the WBO chose to be a bit more lenient, more understanding. Not that it matters anyway, because now he's setting his sights on moving up in weight, moving up to super middle, which I thought he would, because by the time this suspension is up, it will have been a long time since Janibek last fought.
Last made 160.
There are several angles to this story. Janibek Alimkhanalai moving up to super middleweight.
Janibek Alimkhanalai representing one of the more ignominious times in the middleweight division, an ignominious champion.
Once unified.
Though greatly lacking the same appeal of his more famous countryman and idol, Gennady Golovkin, when he was a middleweight champion there, Canelo Alvarez afterwards. This has been one of the sleepier times the middleweight division would have ever seen, but that's how things usually go at middleweight. Things don't liven up there until the smaller fighters start to move up in weight. Fighters like Errol Spence Jr., fighters like Tim Tszyu, Xander Zayas in the not-so-distant future, as Janibek Alimkhanalai is set to make his exit.
What becomes of the IBF title that is now vacant?
American middleweight promoted by Golden Boy Promotions, Amari Jones is currently ranked at number 1. He's in a pole position to become the next IBF middleweight champion. America might start paying attention if and when he does. I've seen him, and he's got a lot of size and power for this division. He's actually pretty good, so he's one to keep an eye on.
What about the WBO title?
Janibek still has that one, though only momentarily. Ranked at number 1 is his old buddy, Denzel Bentley, who gave him all that he could handle 2 or 3 years ago, I think it was, when they fought. He seems in the pole position to become the next WBO champion. That title may end up going to Britain, though there is the matter of Xander Zayas to consider. Xander, who is still promoted by Top Rank, that have always had a way with the WBO. It's conceivable that when he returns, he may land a cushy spot in those ranked standings to fight for that title.
What about the other titles that Janibek didn't hold?
Carlos Adames of the Dominican Republic is still this division's WBC champion, but he's said to be in negotiations to fight Cuban IBF super middleweight champion Oslis Iglesias. Carlos Adames, like Janibek Alimkhanuly, is on his way out of the middleweight division. When he's gone, ranked behind him is interim champion Jesus Ramos.
So maybe the WBC title goes to him.
The WBA title is still held by Cuba's own two-weight world champion Errol Lara, who I don't think for a second is about to make a move up to super middleweight. He's already not that big a middleweight, and he's gotten long in the tooth. Ranked at number 1 is yet another Cuban fighter in Yoenli Hernandez.
The WBA don't currently have an interim champion installed, meaning that Yoenli is in a pole position to challenge Lara for the full title, though I don't think he's going to. Nobody anywhere makes any money from two Cubans fighting each other.
So it's not a fight that I actually expect the WBA to order. Maybe upon Xander Zayas' return, he goes the WBA route instead of the WBO route. Maybe he ends up fighting an aging Erislandy Lara, and that's what the landscape might look like.
Don't forget about Errol and Timmy.
Don't forget about the winner of that fight, because that fight isn't actually happening at junior middleweight. It's being fought at a contracted catch weight of 158 pounds. That actually makes it a middleweight contest, and whoever wins that fight might get a cushy rank via the WBA. Now as it pertains to Janibek Alimkhanuly, leaving 160 for 168, he didn't get the fights that he wanted to be in at 160. Through no fault of his own, he was often treated as a hot potato, a guy who's more trouble than he's worth. Even with his 2 alphabet titles, I think that the fighters at 168 will be more receptive to fighting him, won't be as threatened by him as the guys at 160 were.
He says he wants Canelo.
Canelo Alvarez, who's still coming off the loss to Terence Crawford and is set to challenge Christian Mabili for his WBC title now in October. If Canelo Alvarez wins and Janibek wants a shot at him, he's got to go up the WBC route. More specifically, he might have to go through Lester the Molester Martinez, who still is this division's interim champion.
Still is a dangerous fight for any super middleweight, let alone any middleweight moving up in weight. I could go for a fight like that, Martinez versus Alimkhanuly.
Janibek Alimkhanuly would be a welcome addition to what is already a deep super middleweight division. There's a lot going on there, and many, many good fights to make to where
they're not going to be scared of him at 168.
He won't seem so dangerous, so physically imposing at 168 as he did at 160. And maybe that's just what the doctor ordered for Janibek.
Being the bogeyman of a division is not all it's cracked up to be.
Being the bogeyman just means that nobody wants to fight you, so how could that be a good thing for the fighter? In the super middleweight division, you have Lester Martinez, Jaime Munguia, Diego Pacheco, Kevin Lele Sajo, Christian Mabili, Oslis Iglesias, very soon Carlos Adames.
Caleb Plant.
He's still there. Jermall Charlo, former middleweight champion. He's set to return to action later on this month in that division.
It's a deep division. There's a lot going on there. Maybe Janibek can make more waves in a more densely populated weight class than what he did at middle. We'll see.